You were born into a system designed to study you, not to understand you, but to forecast your every move. They taught you loyalty measured by obedience. They taught you morality defined by convenience. They handed you rules, not to protect order, but to simplify control. Predictability is not safety. It is vulnerability dressed in civility. You were conditioned to repeat patterns, to seek comfort in consensus, to confuse visibility with power. From the cradle, you were told that to be liked is to be strong, that to be kind is to be wise. But in the corridors of command, affection is currency, and kindness is often a debt that weak men pay in blood. You were never meant to question the design. You were meant to participate in docile, calculating only within the narrow margins allowed to you. But the architecture of real power does not reside in compliance. It thrives in the mind that escapes predictability. The leader who cannot be read cannot be led. They want you to be transparent, not for truth, but for ease of manipulation. Every algorithm, every policy, every institution hungers for your habits because habits are exploitable. A man of routine is a man of routine responses, and responses, once patterned, are anticipated. Once anticipated, they are neutralized. But unpredictability controlled, deliberate unpredictability is the weapon of the sovereign. It unsettles the comfortable, forces recalibration, creates space where advantage can be seized. To break your conditioning is not to become chaotic, is to become strategically illegible. Understand this. In politics, as in war, the enemy must never know where you will strike next. If your next move can be guessed, it can be countered. If it can be countered, you are already losing. This world does not reward the virtuous. It rewards the effective. And effectiveness demands adaptation, deception, reinvention. The fox survives because it is elusive. The lion rules because it is feared. But the true master is both unreadable and undeniable. Do not seek consistency as the world defines it. Seek coherence of aim, not of appearance. Let them call you contradictory. Let them say you are difficult to place. What they call inconsistency, you must call strategy. The masses crave reassurance. Leaders must offer calculation. They will tell you to be authentic, but authenticity is a tool, not a virtue. The skilled ruler wears masks not to lie, but to guide perception. And perception, in the theater of politics, is reality's more lethal sibling. You were taught to be transparent, so you could be seen. But being seen is not the same as being understood, and being understood is not the same as being in control. Sometimes, to rule, you must vanish from their expectations. You must become the question, not the answer. Control begins where familiarity ends. A ruler is not a mirror to the people's desires. A ruler is the architecture of their fears, and the custodian of their hopes, rarely their friend, never their equal. Break your patterns, not in rebellion, but in design. Predictability is the leash the system ties to your ambition. Cut it, move in silence, speak in contradiction, act in shadows. Let your next act be something even your closest advisors did not foresee. Betray expectations, not because betrayal is noble, but because expectation is death. Every expectation they have of you is a rehearsal for your submission. Destroy their scripts, write your own. In a world of systems, to be illegible is to be sovereign. Power does not sleep in the open. It waits, buried beneath patience, cloaked in the performance of normalcy. You must wear that performance like armor, but never mistake it for your skin. They conditioned you to be predictable. You must condition yourself to become unknowable. Control is not seized in the moment of conquest. It is built over time, in the shadows where others dare not look. In hesitation, in contradiction, in silence there you find your leverage. The man who cannot be anticipated cannot be overthrown. You were not made to fit their frame. You were made to break it. And from the ruins, rule. There is a certain violence in clarity. When you declare your intentions, you offer the world a map to dismantle you. They will study your certainties, mirror your morals, and use your virtues as leverage. The more visible your convictions, the more predictable your trajectory. A ruler cannot afford such luxury. You must learn to speak in layers, to gesture without confirming, to move without echo. Your strength lies not in being known, but in being suspected, in being possible rather than fixed. Certainty is the armor of the herd. Ambiguity is the shield of the strategist. The greatest prison is the one built of your own beliefs. They do not chain you with iron, but with identity. They whisper to you about who you are, and you wear it like a uniform, mistaking limitation for principle. But identity, like power, is only useful when it can be changed. If they can name you, they can frame you. If they can frame you, they can kill you reputationally, politically, literally. What survives is not the loudest ideal, but the quietest will. The will to bend without breaking, to lie without being false, to cut without hatred. People follow strength not because they love it, but because they fear the void. They prefer the predator they know to the chaos they don't. And so you must learn the art of presence, the ability to suggest power without always using it, to cast a shadow larger than your reach, to be spoken of even when silent. Do not confuse noise with influence. The most powerful are often the most silent, because they know that every word invites opposition, every explanation exposes a flank. Let others be transparent. You, instead, be consequential. The idea of virtue has been so mutilated that even cowards claim it as a badge. But real virtue is not about being good, it is about being capable. The ability to shape reality in defiance of the odds, to mold the present into the necessary, to master chance through preparation. It is not about kindness or cruelty, it is about outcome. If cruelty secures peace, it is virtue. If mercy leads to collapse, it is vice. Do not be trapped by moral vanity. The world is not changed by intention. It is changed by force, directed with intelligence. Every system has its myths. The myth of democracy is that the people choose. The myth of monarchy is that blood confers wisdom. The myth of revolution is that destruction purifies. But behind every myth stands a man or woman who understood timing, who saw before others saw, who acted before others dared. Power flows not from structures, but from perception. And perception can be crafted, weaponized, rewritten. The one who controls the narrative controls the battlefield. And in politics, the battlefield is rarely made of open fields, it is made of minds, of screens, of whispers in corridors. You will be told to compromise, to collaborate, to build consensus. This is the vocabulary of those who wish to dilute your will. Compromise is not inherently noble, it is often the tax you pay for weakness. There are moments when agreement is strategy, but never let negotiation replace domination. If you do not shape the terms, you will be shaped by them. A lion does not ask the gazelle for permission. The state is not a community, it is an organism. It feeds, it defends, it consumes, and the leader is its nervous system, not its conscience. Most men are not loyal. They are habitual. They obey until they are afraid. They follow until it is inconvenient. Their allegiance is not to you, it is to their own stability. The wise ruler understands this and offers not permanence, but calculation, reward, loyalty, but never depend on it. Build your foundations on fear, not panic, but the subtle, ever-present fear of exclusion, of irrelevance, of punishment. Fear is the more reliable emotion because it does not require gratitude, and gratitude fades faster than ambition. There is no such thing as neutrality. Even silence, even stillness, signals alignment. You may think you are stepping back, but in politics, every absence is filled by someone else's presence. And what they fill it with becomes your enemy. If you do not move forward, you are receding. The ruler must live in motion, not in haste, but in rhythm. A predator does not run continuously, but it is always ready to leap. Readiness is not energy, it is alertness refined into posture. They want you tame, they want you elegant, smiling, apologizing for the weight of your decisions. But the art of leadership is not beauty, it is architecture. You are building structures that others will live inside: laws, policies, stories, threats. These are not ornaments, they are weapons. The ruler is not a performer. The ruler is an engineer of consequence, and consequence is never neutral. You will be called arrogant, cold, manipulative, but remember, these are names the weak give to the strong when they fail to control them. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be obeyed, respected, remembered. History does not forgive the indecisive, it forgets them. The ruler's tragedy is not cruelty, it is irrelevance. Do not aim to be beloved. Aim to be unavoidable. And yet, remember this, even the most ruthless structure must breathe. Total rigidity breaks. You must leave room for illusion, for reform, for theatrical gestures of humility. Not because they matter, but because they are camouflage. People need moments of symbolic reassurance to survive the violence of change. Give them rituals, give them distractions, but never give them control. The deeper your ambition, the more solitude you will face. Leadership is exile. The higher you ascend, the fewer you can trust. Not because others are evil, but because they are limited. They see pieces. You must see the board. And in seeing the board, you will make moves they cannot comprehend. They will call you mad, unprincipled, dangerous. Let them. They are spectators. You are the architect of the outcome. This is not about cynicism. This is about clarity. The world is not worse than you think it is, exactly as ruthless as it must be. The question is not whether it can be kinder. The question is whether you can be stronger. Strip away illusion. Strip away hope that does not serve action. Strip away morality that paralyzes your hands. What remains is purpose. And if you are willing to walk that path not as a hero, but as a sovereign, then you must become what they fear. Not a tyrant, but a mind they cannot measure, a will they cannot bend, a presence they cannot replace. They taught you to be predictable so they could sleep. It is time to wake them. To awaken them is not to shout, not to explode, not to announce. Awakening is surgical. It is the quiet displacement of their certainties, the subtle erosion of their anchors. You do not confront the order they've accepted you, render it obsolete. They will not even notice at first. They will mistake your disruption for coincidence, your ascent for inevitability. But by the time they understand what you've become, it will be too late. Power does not arrive with a trumpet. It seeps in, claiming space, altering language, rewriting instinct. The sovereign does not fight every battle. He selects terrain where the enemy cannot breathe. You must learn to bait with silence, to retreat like a spring coiling, to let their ambition expose their necks. Most rulers fall not because they were outmatched, but because they were provoked. Restraint is not passivity. It is predation with a longer fuse. The man who cannot wait, cannot rule. Time is not your enemy. Time is your co-conspirator. Let them burn their own resolve while you build yours in shadow. People are addicted to appearance. They confuse visibility with impact, gestures with governance, noise with control. Let them. You must become fluent in appearances without being bound by them. Play the fool when needed. Defer when it buys you time. Praise what you plan to replace. The theater of power is not a deception, is a medium. You are not lying. You are communicating with symbols, with myth, with fear. And myth, once installed in the minds of the governed, becomes more durable than truth. All systems rot from within. Even the most brutal empires are softened by their own success. Comfort breeds incompetence. Entitlement dulls instinct. If you wish to endure, you must immunize yourself against ease. Hunt discomfort, seek dissonance. Surround yourself not with flatterers, but with friction. The stronger your circle, the more they will resist you. Do not fear this. Cultivate it. Weak leaders seek mirrors. Strong leaders build crucibles. You must be forged again and again in adversity of your own choosing. Never allow your legitimacy to rest solely on tradition or title or inheritance. These are borrowed thrones. Build your own, brick by brutal brick, from fear, vision, and necessity. Legitimacy, in truth, is nothing but continued usefulness. The moment they believe they no longer need you, they will turn on you. So never let them forget how fragile peace is, how delicate the balance, how close the chaos. A ruler must become fluent in betrayal not as a victim, but as a practitioner. Loyalty is a currency, and every currency is volatile. Do not grow sentimental about those who helped you rise. Their usefulness expires long before their ambition does. You owe them vigilance, not gratitude. Mercy, if given, must be calculated. Let no one mistake your compassion for indecision. When you spare, spare coldly. When you strike, strike surgically. And always, always strike with finality. The true cost of power is not blood. It is attention, the constant surveillance of your own moves, the relentless calibration of every gesture, every word, every silence. You must become your own spy. There is no rest, no privacy. Even solitude becomes a performance. The crown does not rest on your head, it embeds in your skull, and it whispers, always, of what you must become to keep it. Most men crave meaning. The ruler must crave clarity. Meaning can be constructed later by historians, by poets, by those who feed on the past. Your task is not to inspire, it is to endure. You do not owe the world your heart. You owe it your results. Let the philosophers debate your soul. You must govern the terrain. And the terrain, now, is fractured. Borders blur, allegiances shift. Technology mutates faster than laws can contain. The modern ruler must become fluid, part predator, part illusionist, part engineer. You must master systems you did not design and corrupt them into obedience. You must learn to speak not only to nations, but to networks. Power no longer lives only in palaces. It seeps through data, through screens, through sentiment. Yet the fundamentals do not change. The governed want certainty. They want rhythm. They want someone to take the burden of decision. Give them what they crave while keeping your mind free. Let them vote. Let them march. Let them shout. These are the rituals that comfort them. But you must never be ruled by ritual. Only outcome matters. You will be tempted at times to humanize your power, to explain, to apologize. Resist this. Familiarity is the enemy of awe. The ruler must remain just out of reach, visible enough to obey, distant enough to respect. They must feel your presence in every policy, every punishment, every reward, yet never feel they fully understand you. The unknown is the birthplace of authority. If you must fall, fall forward. Fall with your hands still shaping the world. But better yet, never fall. Do not ascend until you have mapped your descent. Do not rise until you have charted every betrayal. Trust no one whose ambition you cannot see, and trust least of all those who seem without any. Every calm surface hides turbulence. Every ally carries the seed of defection. This is the solitude of command. To be surrounded, but alone. To be praised, yet doubted. To be envied, yet essential. If you cannot bear this, step aside. Let the world devour those who still need affection. But if you can carry it, if you can let go of needing to be understood, then the throne is yours, not by right, but by will. You were conditioned to be predictable. Predictability is death. Break that and become fate. Fate is not granted. It is taken, shaped, rehearsed in the mind long before it manifests in the world. It is not magic, nor divine. Right, it is the byproduct of unflinching will applied to the chaos of men. Those who rise are not chosen by gods or crowds. They are the ones who saw the architecture beneath the noise and bent it. To rule is to impose meaning on randomness. It is to seize a world in flux and demand structure not for justice, but for survival. You will be asked again and again to show your heart, to prove you care. But care is not governance. Sentiment is not strategy. To protect what matters, you must first be willing to abandon appearances. You must let go of the illusion that goodness will shield you. It won't. What shields you is control over outcomes, over perceptions, over tempo. Power is not about doing what is right. It is about ensuring that what you do becomes what is accepted. The masses hunger for myth, not reality. They want stories that confirm their fears and soothe their impotence. Let them have these myths. Feed them selectively. You need not lie. You need only omit. Truth is not sacred. It is raw material. Shape it, refine it, distribute it with intention. Truth unshaped is as dangerous as fire in a crowded theater. Control what they believe, and you control what they will accept. Even your enemies can be made useful. Their hatred gives you contrast, definition, focus. They will call you tyrant, monster, usurper. But in doing so, they define the boundaries of your reign. They elevate your image even as they try to destroy it. Cultivate your enemies. Choose them as carefully as you choose your allies. A worthy enemy is more valuable than a mediocre friend. Let them strike, but never let them choose the terrain. You are not obligated to play fair, only to win. Never forget that fear is more efficient than love. It requires less explanation, less maintenance, less time. Love must be fed, tended, reaffirmed. Fear settles into the bones. It lingers in silence. It does not reason. It obeys. Use fear not to destroy, but to govern. Let it whisper behind your decisions. Let it enter the room before you do. A ruler who is loved may be betrayed. A ruler who is feared is watched carefully. But fear must be clean. Do not confuse it with chaos. Rule through order, even when you employ cruelty. If you must punish, punish swiftly, visibly, and with precision. Randomness weakens fear. Precision strengthens it. The people can accept severity if they see it brings results. What they cannot tolerate is impotence wrapped in kindness. Compassion without strength is a liability. Discipline without mercy is a corpse. Your edge is in balance. Learn the art of retreat, not as surrender, but as redirection. A pause can be a trap. A silence can be a signal. Do not rush. The impatient ruler burns his resources for the illusion of momentum. But the cold-blooded strategist waits, watches, and when he moves, the earth shifts. Delay is not weakness. It is the preparation of inevitability. You will find yourself tempted by peace, tempted to believe the machine can run without you, that the fires you built will sustain without constant tending. Do not be deceived. The moment you ease your grip, entropy returns. The center cannot hold itself. It is you, and you alone, who stands between the fragile order and the returning tide of disorder. This is your burden. It is not glamorous. It is not noble. It is necessary. They will never fully thank you. They will never fully know what you prevent, what you absorb, what you sacrifice. But you are not here for gratitude. You are here to govern. You are here to dominate time itself, to leave behind not memories but structures, policies that outlive affection, decisions that outlast sentiment. You are not a person to them. You are an institution. Act like one. Let your emotions be tools, not masters. Anger is useful when measured. Pity is useful when staged. Even grief can be a spectacle that draws allegiance, but never let emotion dictate strategy. The ruler who reacts is ruled by the provocateur. You are the frame, not the painting. You define the context. You set the tempo. Even your vulnerability must be planned. Expose nothing by accident. Every revelation, every rumor, every leak must serve your end. Let them believe they've uncovered something. Let them feel clever. A distracted enemy is an ineffective one. Feed them contradictions. Let them fight phantoms. Meanwhile, you build, you consolidate, you sharpen the blade. Those closest to you pose the greatest risk. Their knowledge makes them dangerous. Their familiarity makes them entitled. Trust is not given, it is managed. Rotate your inner circle. Never let anyone believe they are indispensable. Paranoia is not a flaw, it is vigilance. If they speak of loyalty, test it. If they speak of service, question motive. The betrayal you fail to imagine is the one that destroys you. Your legacy will not be shaped by what you believed. It will be shaped by what you caused. The ruler is not remembered for his intentions. He is remembered for his effects. Did the borders hold? Did the system function? Did the enemies fear to speak your name? This is the scale. This is the measure. Sentiment will pass. Consequence endures. Let them have their heroes. Let them worship symbols. You are something else. You are the one who makes their myths possible. You are the secret at the core of the story. The name that doesn't appear in their parables, but without whom the stage would collapse. You were taught that transparency is trust, but trust is a leash. You were taught to be clear, but clarity is a cage. What they fear most is the unknown, so become it. You were conditioned to be a servant of the system. Now, you must become its master. Do not inherit the world, seize it. Inheritance is a myth sold to pacify ambition, to delay the ascent of the capable by promising the eventual rewards of patience. But patience without movement is rot. You do not wait for your turn, you create it. Every moment the throne is unoccupied even by a fraction, even in perceptionis, an opportunity for conquest. Power is not passed down, it is taken. And once taken, it must be held with a grip so firm that even the thought of replacing you becomes treason in their minds. Remember, the state is not a community, it is a weapon, and every weapon must be pointed. If you do not aim it, someone else will. A ruler who believes the state is an extension of the people is already dethroned in spirit. The people do not guide the state, they are guided by it. Shaped, trained, pacified, threatened if necessary. The ideal citizen is not a thinker, it is a reactor, tuned to your frequency, responsive to your cues. That is how order is maintained, not through shared values, but through managed instinct. Most will never understand what you sacrifice. They think power is freedom. They are wrong. Power is responsibility for outcomes you cannot explain and decisions you cannot share. It is the art of choosing which truth to destroy, which loyalty to test, which future to deny. To lead is to choose who suffers. Do it with intention. Do it with strategy. But never forget, every advancement comes at a cost. You do not get to be innocent. You only get to be effective. Systems calcify. What begins as necessity becomes tradition. What begins as tradition becomes dogma, and dogma is the enemy of evolution. A ruler who does not reform becomes a monument, and monuments are ignored until they are toppled. Stay fluid, stay dangerous. Do not let success lull you into repetition. Reinvent your methods, burn old loyalties. Replace your advisors before they expect it. Create instability in your ranks, then offer stability only through you. Let no one believe they can predict your next decade. Be cautious of those who speak in absolutes. Absolutes are weapons for the weak. Strong minds deal in possibility, in maneuver, in adaptation. Ideology is a blinder, not a compass. You may wear it if it suits your aim, but never let it dictate your path. Use belief like a tool, like a flag raised over a fortress you plan to abandon. Let others die for principles. You will live by results. The myth of equality is the most elegant chain ever forged. It tells the many that they are one decision away from power, one reform away from fairness. But equality is a fiction that calms the resentful. The state depends on hierarchy, formal or hidden. As a ruler, your task is to manage resentment, not eliminate it. Let the people express their frustration in safe ways. Give them scapegoats. Give them elections. Give them applause, just never give them access. Reputation is more powerful than law. What they believe you will do is more important than what you are legally allowed to do. If your name inspires hesitation, you are already halfway to victory. Be decisive in moments of visibility. The masses do not understand nuance. They respond to boldness, to clarity of gesture. But beneath the surface, be surgical, be careful. Let your machinery run in silence while your figure dominates the screen. Nothing spreads faster than weakness. If you falter publicly once, your enemies will multiply, your allies will drift. Power is not tolerant of gaps. You must project inevitability. Make your presence feel so enduring that even dissent begins to feel futile. Break momentum with sudden purges, sharp corrections, shocking yet precise interventions. These moments define reigns. Use them not for drama, but for calibration. Shock resets expectation. Fear restores equilibrium. And in all things, remain emotionally unavailable. Do not let them read you. Your smile should mean nothing. Your silence should mean everything. When they think they understand your intent, change your course. When they beg for consistency, give them brilliance. Be chaotic only in their eyes, never in your own mind. You are not chaos. You are controlled entropy, targeted destruction, necessary deception. You are not one of them. You cannot be. A ruler is set apart not by title, but by vision and the isolation that vision demands. You will walk alone, think in silence, act while others hesitate. They will never know what it costs, and if they did, they would beg you to step down so they could return to comfort. But comfort is not your inheritance. Discomfort is the forge of sovereignty. You must live where others blink. The battlefield has changed, but the war remains the same. It is the war over meaning, over direction, over the right to define the horizon. In a world of endless distraction, clarity is terror. You must become that terror not through chaos, but through precision. Be the one who sees through every mask, cuts through every performance, reshapes every conversation to serve your trajectory. And if you succeed, if you endure, know this. You will not be celebrated. You will be studied, misunderstood, condemned by the soft, revered by the few who dare to lead. This is the price. Not applause, not affection, but legacy. So let them keep their ideals, their debates, their illusions of control. You keep the crown, and when it ends, because all reigns end, all empires decay, all thrones empty, let yours be the kind that leaves a scar on history, not a footprint in sand. Let the memory of your rule echo not in songs of love, but in the silence of those who understood too late what they had witnessed. No monuments need be raised, no statues need stand. Let your legacy be the system you bent into shape, the outcomes you made inevitable, the men you broke and the futures you forged in their absence. They will rewrite your story. They always do. They will call you cruel, calculated, merciless. Let them. They will never understand what you protected, what you prevented, what you built from the ashes of their comforts. Their judgment is not your concern. Their peace was born of your clarity. Their survival, of your cold decisions. You were not placed here to be good. You were placed here to be necessary. And in your final silence, when the stage dims and the curtain falls, let no weakness remain. Let no apology be uttered. Rule until the last breath with the same precision that raised you. Let them see, even in your absence, that you were never simply a man-butt of force. You were conditioned to obey, to yield, to doubt. You broke that, and in doing so, you became something more than leader. You became inevitable,